What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's having a great day. We're going to be looking at another awesome Hydra champion today because I am absolutely in love with Hydra. I know people hate Hydra. Most of you watching this right now probably despise the Hydra boss, and people are very not pleased with Hydra Clash. We do have Hydra Clash changes coming soon, but I'm still going to be bringing out, Hydra content in lieu of all of this. So I saw a screenshot from one of my clanmates of some absolutely ridiculous damage from a champion that a lot of people are really starting to pick up on, and that is RAZELVARG. I kind of wish I would have went for that blessing form when we had the event, but I'm rocking with a 3-star now. We have a decent build. The run that I'm actually going to show you is not on my account. I did a takeover for someone and I ended up using RAZELVARG in the team, but let's talk a bit about him, a bit about why he's so strong in Hydra. I'll show you the build that we used. I'll even show you the build to compare him to the other champion, the other DPS in the comp, which was a Harima, and we'll kind of, cross compare and see just how strong he actually is. For people to be able to record 1.5 billion damage, individual damage with this champion is absolutely ridiculous. People have, multiple people have already recorded over 1 billion damage with this guy. So let's just go ahead and take a look at his kit and see what he is offering. So on the A1, he has a 3-hitter. Each hit fills his turn meter by 5%. His multiplier is based on attack and speed. On the A2, attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a leech. Heals this champion by 10% of their max HP for each leech debuff placed by this skill. Also, based on attack and speed, he's going to heal himself and place the leech. That's pretty huge. And then he has another AoE on the A3, places a 30% increased speed buff and 50% increased accuracy buff on all allies for 2 turns before attacking. This can help you out as well so that you don't have to build your champs with as much accuracy because you're going to be getting increased accuracy. On his passive, each increased speed buff placed by this champion increases his speed by 5 stacks up to 100, so you can gain 100 speed, which means you will be in turn gaining damage as well. If we take a look really quickly at Hell Hades' website, you can see just how these multipliers kind of shake up here. So I'll pull it up. So if we take a look at the multipliers here, on the A1 it's 0.45 plus speed over 100, on the A2 1.5 plus speed over 100, and on the A3 is the exact same multiplier as the A2. So 2 skills, 2 AoEs hitting for the exact same amount. And if you build him with relatively good speed, he's going to gain 100 speed. So this could easily start to become a multiplier of like a 4, a 5, a 6 very quickly. But you do have to build with a significant amount of speed to make that happen. But because of how this multiplier scales, and because it does scale based on his speed, you have a very high ceiling for what his damage could be. Mine's is relatively slow. I'm going to show you screenshots of the build because I am currently not on the account that I ran this on. So here is the actual build that we used. He is in Relentless. He was not even in a lethal or savage set or merciless. He could obviously do a ton more damage if he is in those sets. Here are the total stats that we have on him. So 5k attack, 263 speed, 273 crit damage, and a good bit of accuracy. We could probably drop a lot of this accuracy, honestly, to build a lot more damage and speed. And here are the masteries that we used down into Giant Slayer because he does have a 3-hit A1, and we're using the support tree just to get a little more accuracy. Cycle of Violence there. I would actually elect to kind of switch this up a bit, maybe get an extra turn on the leech, but because he's taking so many turns, he's going to come back around and put his debuffs up pretty fast. So honestly, the increased speed, extra turn on the increased speed is actually probably a bit more useful because he's going to come back around to get his leech up very fast. He's able to take a ton of turns just because he has turn meter mechanic on his A1. He's going to boost his turn meter. He's also increasing his speed by a ton. You also get increased speed. This guy's going to be taking plenty of turns, so he will 100% cycle back around to that leech. Now mine on my own account is actually built in lethal, and you know, I've used this build a bit recently on Nightmare actually, and mine is built pretty decent. 251 speed, 272, 6.8 attack, a decent amount of accuracy as well. So he does some pretty good damage, but mine does not have 6-star crushing rend. 6-star crushing rend just starts to make a ton of difference. But I'm going to show you all the run, and then we'll compare his stats with the Harima stats. So this is the last bit of the run, and sadly RAZELVARG did die towards the end of the run. We have RAZELVARG in, we have Harima in there with a Yugo. We have a Sissia who's providing us with HP burn, decreased defense, and weaken. We have a Lady Mikage, and we have a Archer. Archer actually came in pretty heavy, putting in a lot of work for us. But as you can see, we're doing some pretty decent damage. We're almost to the turn limit, and we're just under 300 million damage. This was actually run on Brutal. We have another team that we ran on Nightmare, so we weren't able to test him on Nightmare in this build. And honestly, the build could be a ton better. We're not going to get 1 billion damage out of this build, but it could probably happen on this account if I swapped a lot of the gear around. Let me move myself over so you guys can see exactly what is going on, and then we will move towards the end of the run here. So as we're getting closer to the turn limit, RAZELVARG taking a ton of turns. He's already increased his speed by 100, you know, far before we've gotten here, and he's hitting for some pretty good numbers there. If we rewind, we can just see that, you know, he's negative affinity for this head. Hopefully he does not die before. I know he's about to die soon. He did die before the turn count, but hopefully we get to see him hit on. All right, yeah, so if we come here, we'll get to see him hit on some exposed heads so that you can kind of get a feel for the damage that he's doing without a DPS set. So this is without having lethal, this is without merciless, this is without savage. This is just, you know, his raw damage without a ton of, you know, ignore defense effects. So he's hitting for like half a million there, which is not bad, right? It's solid. It's going to be good for most people, and it's going to be, you know, it's going to help you out a ton, especially because like those damage sets are not easy to get. His A1 doing some pretty good damage. AoE, you know, hitting for a couple 100,000 there. I think the A2 definitely hits a little bit harder. Hitting about the same. It's the exact same multiplier. I'm just playing with myself in my head. But he's doing, you know, pretty significant damage, right? So let's just go ahead and skip ahead a bit. His A1 does some pretty good damage. He's actually going to die here because of reflect damage. And this comp could have done way more damage had I not been doing it on auto, because I did, you know, do it on auto and I kind of just targeted the heads. I did not fully manual this run. We could have done significantly more damage had I manualed the run. Coming to the end here, RAZELVARG died, and that kind of just, you know, everything just kind of fell apart at that point. But some pretty solid damage on Brutal, right? Almost 500 million damage. And as you can see, RAZELVARG doing slightly more damage than Harima, who is actually in a, you know, DPS set, right? So Harima is actually in lethal. RAZELVARG not with 6-star crushing rend. If Harima had 6-star crushing rend, she probably should have significantly more damage, but he's taking a lot more turns than Harima is. He is significantly faster than Harima, and he's going to be significantly faster than a lot of the champs that you do build for Hydra. He's also bringing a ton to the table. But let's just look really quickly at the Harima build so we can kind of compare what, you know, those stats are, and they pretty much have equal damage. So the Harima is in lethal because she's being used in arena. These are the total stats on her for Hydra. She's got 7,200 attack, 321 crit damage, 228 speed. So it's a pretty decent build, right? Not very fast, so she's not taking a ton of turns, but she's getting a lot of extra turns because of Lady Mikage's A1, which is going to allow Harima to use her A1 as well. So she's getting a significant amount of turns, but definitely not as many as RAZELVARG. So for RAZELVARG to be keeping up with Harima with these stats, right? 5k attack, 273 crit damage, 263 speed. He's also not in an ignore defense set. I think he is a very, very strong champion. And if you have him on your account, I encourage you to use him. If you can put him in a DPS set, whether it be Lethal Savage or Merciless, even if you got to go full Cruel, I would encourage you to do that because you're going to be able to get some really, really productive damage from him. But all in all, I really like this champion. Let me know down below if you guys are using him at all. He is absolutely amazing. If you're not using him, you definitely need to be using him. That's going to be all for this one though, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And until next time, guys, be good and be well.